or a channel Pure English. It's always good to see you, and at the beginning of the live stream for today, I'd like to call on you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to it yet, and make sure that you drop down any comments in the comment box with any remarks or suggestions you might have. I will be more than willing to respond to them. Well, as the title of today's live stream dictates, I will be talking about 3 important verbs in the English language. These verbs are used all over the place. You will find one of these verbs in 70% of sentences in English. These are extremely important verbs. I'm talking here about the verbs be, have, and do. Well, verbs in English are classified into 2 types. So any verb, literally any verb in English, must fall under one of 2 categories. These are regular and irregular verbs. So any verb in English must fall under one of these 2 categories. Any verb in English is either regular or irregular. And we will be talking about how to differentiate between these 2 types of verbs later in the video. But the first half or the first section of today's lesson will be about these 3 verbs particularly, the verbs be, have, and do. So let's begin with the verb be. And by the way, these 3 verbs are irregular. We will know later in the video why these verbs are not regular. We will know why that is. But for now, I want you to know that these 3 verbs, verb to be, verb to have, and verb to do, these 3 verbs are irregular verbs, not regular. And as I said, later in the video, we shall know why. I'm going to begin with the verb to be. Well, this verb to be, is the verb with the most number of forms in English, which means that verb to be comes in several forms. Verb to be has 3 forms in the present. These are am, is, and are. So as an English learner, especially if you are still a beginner or an elementary learner of the language, whenever you see one of these 3 words, am, is, are, all of these words are forms of the verb be. So all these words at the end of the day are verb to be in the present forms or in the present tense. You use am when the subject is I. So you say I am. You don't say I is. That's wrong. You don't say I are. That's wrong. You must use the form am. So you say I am. The second form in the present, which is used with he, she, and it. So if the subject is any of these 3 pronouns, he or she or it, or any other noun equivalent to them. So instead of he, you can say Sam. Instead of she, you can say Julia. Instead of it, you can say the table. So these 3 pronouns or any other nouns equivalent to them, if you want to use the present simple of verb to be with them, we use the form is. And the third form of verb to be in the present is are. And this is used with we, you, and they. We, you, and they are used with are. Right, so far we have covered 3 forms of the verb be, and all of these forms are in the present am, is, are. Of course, I got your comment, and you can leave your number and I can communicate with you. So, back to what we were saying. Thank you very much for your comment, by the way. In the past simple, verb to be has 2 forms. in the past simple, verb to be has two forms. These are was and were. So be careful, guys. When we talk about the several forms of verb to be, we're talking about verb to be coming up or coming across in different forms, in different words. So as we said, in the present simple, it has three forms: am, is, and are. If you want to talk about verb to be in the past, we use two forms, was and were. Were is spelled W-E-R-E. Some people pronounce it where, but that's not the correct pronunciation for this word. It's pronounced were, the same way you pronounce the word work, okay? Right, so were is used just the same way as are. It's used with we, you, and they. Whereas was is used with the rest. Was is used with I, he, she, and it. This means that so far we have 5 forms of the verb be. Am, is, are. These are the present forms of verb to be. And was and were, and these are the past forms of verb to be. We also have the past participle of verb to be. That's been. That's been. B-double-E-N. I haven't got the number. You know, in the description box, there is the email, my personal email. You can communicate with me via the email, and we can see how I can help you or what I can help you with. Or you can just leave a comment on the video with your contacts, and I can contact you. Right. So, the 6th form of verb to be is been. That's spelled B-double-E-N. In addition to the infinitive of verb to be, and that's the word be itself. So the word be, be, this is the infinitive of verb to be. So how many forms of verb to be have we covered? Can you tell me? How many forms of verb to be have we mentioned in this video so far? If you have been following attentively, you can tell me, how many forms of verb to be have we mentioned in the video as yet? Well, as a matter of fact, we talked about 7 forms of verb to be. Can you imagine? No other verb in English has this number of different forms. Let me repeat them for you. Verb to be has the 7 forms: be, which is the infinitive; been, which is the past participle; was and were, the past forms of verb to be, in addition to am, is, are, which are the present forms of verb to be. 7 different forms of verb to be. So, at the end of the day, you must know that all these different words, they are different shapes, different forms of verb to be at the end of the day. So whenever you come across any of them, we are talking about verb to be in a certain context. Excellent. Verb to be is also used in making tenses. So for example, when you say, I am a teacher, I am a teacher. Here the verb is am, which is verb to be, and the tense of the sentence is the present simple, because am is one of the present simple forms of verb to be. So when you say, I am a teacher, that's a present simple sentence. When you say, she is a nurse, she is a nurse, the verb is. So this sentence is also in the present simple because we are using the present simple form of verb to be, is. When you say, the children are happy, the children are happy. So the verb is are, used alone. This means that the sentence is in the present simple because we are using one of the present simple forms of verb to be. You can say, Robert was sad, past simple. Robert was sad. Was, past simple of verb to be, so the sentence is in the past. You can say, my parents were in India. My parents were in India. The verb is were, past simple of verb to be, so the tense of the sentence is the past simple tense, and so on. So if you use any of these verb forms of verb to be alone in the sentence, this means that the sentence is either in the present simple, if you're using am or is or are alone in the sentence, or the sentence is in the past simple if you are using was or were alone in the sentence. Excellent. But sometimes am, is, and are followed by a verb ing, which means the ing form of the verb. If that's the case, this means that the sentence is in the present continuous or in the present progressive. So again, if the verb in the sentence is am or is or are used alone, then the tense of the verb or the tense of the sentence is the present simple. If the verb in the sentence is was or were used alone, this means that the tense, this means that the tense of the verb or the tense of the sentence is the past simple. But if am or is or are followed by verb ing, this means that the sentence is in the present continuous tense, or the tense of the verb is the present continuous or the present progressive. If the verb is was or were followed by verb ing, this means that the sentence is in the past continuous tense or the past progressive. This means that the tense of the verb is the past progressive. Let me give you some examples. When you say, it is raining at the moment, it is raining at the moment. So we have is followed by verb ing, raining, then this sentence is in the present continuous. When you say, I was working at midnight, I was working at midnight. So we have was followed by the ing form, was working. This means that the tense of the sentence or the tense of the verb is the past continuous. Okay. Now we move on to the second verb, verb to have. Verb to have is also irregular, just like the verb be, but it doesn't have as many forms as verb to be. Verb to be has 7 different forms. Verb to be has only 3 forms. Well, in the present, verb to have has 2 forms, which are have and has. Have is used with I, we, you, and they. So we say, I have, we have, they have, you have. Whereas the other form, has, is used with he, she, and it. So we say, he has, she has, it has. These 2 forms, have and has, are the present forms of verb to have. In the past, verb to have has only 1 form, which is had, and that's used with all subjects, with all pronouns. So you can say they had, or I had, or he had. Any pronoun, any subject can be used with the past form, had. Again, If you use have or has alone in the sentence, this means that the sentence is in the present simple. So when you say, I have a car, I have a car, this is a present simple tense because you are using have alone. Similarly, or likewise, when you say, she has a bike, she has a bike means a bicycle, this means that the sentence is in the present simple because we are using has alone. She has a bike. I had a cold. That's a past simple sentence because we are using the verb had alone. So we say, I had a cold. This means that your sentence is in the past simple tense. But when these verbs are followed by the past participle of the verb, the tense changes. What does that mean? If you say, I have cleaned my room, so here, have is followed by the past participle, which is cleaned. That's the past participle of the verb clean. When you follow have or has with the past participle, the tense becomes the present perfect. So, have or has alone, present simple. Have or has followed by the past participle of the verb, which is form number 3 of the verb, this makes the tense of the sentence change into the present perfect. So when you say, I have cleaned my room, this is a present perfect sentence. When you say, Tom has lost his passport, has here is not used alone, is used with the past participle, which is used after it. You're saying, Tom has lost his passport. So using the past participle lost after has changes the tense into the present perfect. But when you say, Tom has a passport, just has, used alone, this means that the tense of the sentence is the present simple. So the rule of thumb here is that using have or has alone means that the sentence is in the present simple. Using has or have followed by the past participle of the verb means that the tense of the sentence becomes the present perfect. Similarly, we have the case of had. When you say, I had a cold, as I said earlier, this is a past simple sentence. But when you say, she had arrived earlier, she had arrived earlier, here had is not used alone, it's followed by the past participle arrived. This changes the tense into the past perfect, which means that using had alone means that the tense is the past simple. Using had followed by the past participle of the verb means that the tense of the sentence or the tense of the verb changes into the past perfect. Allow me to have a sip of water. Thank you. Right, so we have covered 2 verbs so far. That's verb to be and that's verb to have. Now let's move to the last verb of the 3, and that's verb to do. Verb to do also has several forms in English, just like the verbs be and have. Be has 7 forms, as we said. Have has 3 forms, as we said. Do has 4 forms. In the past participle of do is done. That's spelled D-O-N-E. So the past participle of do is done. The past simple of do is did. That's spelled D-I-D. And in the present simple, do has 2 forms. These are do and does. We use does with he, she, and it. So we say he does, she does, it does, but we say they do, I do, we do, and you do, which means that the form do is used with I, we, you, and they, whereas the form does is used with he, she, and it. But at the end of the day, the two forms, do and does, are present simple forms of the verb do. So this means that all in all, or on aggregate, in total, verb to do has four forms. Do and does in the present simple, did in the past simple, and done as the past participle of the verb do. For example, when you say, she does a lot of research. She does a lot of research. We're using the word does, which is one of the present simple forms of the verb do. Then this sentence is in the present simple. She does a lot of research. When you say, we do a lot of business with the government. We do a lot of business with the government. Do is also one of the present simple forms of the verb do, which means that this sentence is in the present simple because we are using do, which is one of the present forms of the verb do. When you say, I did some shopping yesterday, I did some shopping yesterday. This means that the sentence is in the past simple because we are using the past simple form of verb to do, which is did. So all in all, verb to do has four forms. Do and does as the present simple forms of it, did as the past simple form, and done as the past participle or as form number 3. Also, we use does and do as helping verbs in the present simple negative and questions. So this means that if you have a sentence in the present simple and you want to make this sentence negative or you want to make a question in the present simple, you must use do or does. You say, for example, Chris is a man or a boy. Chris doesn't go out very often, present simple negative. I don't like coffee, present simple negative. She didn't watch TV yesterday, past simple negative. What time did Paul arrive, past simple question. Does Sylvia live alone, present simple question. So as you can see, we also use does and do as auxiliary verbs or helping verbs in the present simple negatives and questions. And we use did as a helping verb or an auxiliary verb in the past simple negatives and questions. And we follow them with the infinitive of the verb all the time. So whenever you have don't, doesn't, didn't in a negative sentence, or do, does, and did in a question, whenever you have any of these 6 words in your sentence being negative or question, you must follow them with the infinitive of the verb or the base form of the verb. And by this, I can say that we have completely and thoroughly covered the 3 verbs. Verbs to be, to have, and to do. Now we move on to the second section of today's live lesson, which is a comparison between regular and irregular verbs. But let me take this chance to remind you to please subscribe to the channel, like the video if the content appeals to you, and also leave a comment down there with any remark or suggestion you want to make. Right, so as I said in the beginning of the video, any verb in English is either regular or irregular. No verb is excepted from that rule. No exceptions. Any verb, literally in English, any verb must be classified as regular or irregular. How can you know? Any verb in English has three main forms. The base form or the infinitive, we call it the base form or the bare infinitive. That's form number one of the verb, and that's simply the verb without adding anything to it. So when you say do, be, have, make, take, eat, drink, all these verbs which I have just mentioned are infinitives or base forms. Why? Because we are using them alone without adding anything to them. We didn't add s or es or ed or ing. If you use the verb alone without any additives, this means that you're using the bare infinitive or the base form of the verb. That's form number one. Form number two of any verb, or the second form, is the past simple or the past tense. So for verb to be, as we mentioned earlier in today's video, verb to be has two past simple or past tense forms. These are was and were. The past simple of have is had. The past simple of do is did, which means that was, were, had, and did, all of these are past simple forms or past tense forms of these verbs. That's form number two. The past simple of eat is ate, spelled A-T-E. The past simple of swim is swam, spelled S-W-A-M. The past simple of drink is drank, spelled D-R-A-N-K. So ate, swam, and drank are past simples or past tense forms for these verbs, forms number two. And the last or the third form of any verb is the past participle. Some people call it the PP as an abbreviation or as an acronym, which stands for past participle. So the past participle of any verb is simply the third form or form number three of that verb. So the past participle of be is been, B-E-E-N. The past participle of do is done, D-O-N-E. The past participle of have is had. So had is the past simple and the past participle of have. The past participle of begin is begun, spelled B-E-G-U-N. The past simple of take is taken, spelled T-A-K-E-N. The past participle of understand is understood, and so on. So, the three main forms or the three basic forms of any verb in English are form number one, the bare infinitive or the base form. Form number two, the past tense or the past simple. And form number three, the past participle. This introduction was very important for you to understand in order to know the difference between regular and irregular verbs. Now, the difference between these two types of verbs will be explained in one sentence. After you have understood what the three forms of any verb are, you will be able to understand the difference between regular and irregular verbs in one sentence, which is the difference between a regular verb and an irregular verb is as follows. The verb is regular if its past simple and its past participle end in ed. So, what is the past simple of work? It's worked ending in ed. So, work is a regular verb. What is the past simple and the past participle of enjoy? It's enjoyed ending in ed. So enjoy is a regular verb. What is the past simple and the past participle of stay? That's stayed ending in ed. Then stay is a regular verb. So the rule of thumb here is that regular verbs end with ed in form number 2, which is the past simple or the past tense, and in form number 3, which is the past participle. Whereas irregular verbs do not end in ed, neither in the past simple, which is form number 2, the past tense, nor in the past participle, which is form number 3. Examples of irregular verbs. We have the verb make. The conjugation of that verb, which means the 3 forms of that verb, are make, made, made. Make is form number 1, the bare form or the bare infinitive or the base form. Made is form number 2, past simple or past tense. And made is form number 3 as well, which is the past participle. So make is irregular because it doesn't end in ed in the past simple or in the past participle. Another example is the verb find. The past simple and the past participles of that verb are found, found. It doesn't end in ed. So find is an irregular verb. A third example is the verb buy. In the infinitive, it's buy. In the past simple and the past participle, it changes into bought, spelt B-O-U-G-H-T. It doesn't end in ed. So the verb buy is irregular because it doesn't end in ed in the past simple or in the past participle. Another verb is the verb cut. Cut remains unchanged across the 3 forms. So it's cut in the infinitive, cut in the past simple, and cut in the past participle, which means it doesn't end in ed, neither in the past simple nor in the past participle, so it is an irregular verbs. So the rule of thumb or the golden rule here about the difference between regular and irregular verbs is the fact that regular verbs end with ed in forms number 2 and 3. These are the past simple or the past tense as form number 2 and the past participle as form number 3. Whereas irregular verbs, on the other hand, do not end in ed, neither in the past simple or the past tense, which is form number 2, nor in the past participle, which is form number 3. And by the way, there is a list or a table for all the irregular verbs of English compiled together. If you just go to Google or you ask ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools to provide you with, you can just ask them for the table of irregular verbs or the list of irregular verbs. And they will provide you with that list or that table, which is made of 3 columns. Column number 1 on the left for form number 1, the bare infinitive or the base form. And the second column in the middle for form number 2, which is the past simple or the past tense. And lastly, the column on the right, which is column number 3 for form number 3, and that's the past participle of the verb. So in this video or in this lesson today, we have covered 2 main topics. The first topic was a thorough or a meticulous or a detailed explanation of the 3 most important verbs in English, verbs to be, to have, and to do. We explained them at length or in depth, which means in a detailed fashion. And in the second section of the video, we explained the difference between regular and irregular verbs, and we highlighted some examples for regular and irregular verbs. Now, let me give you a couple of examples highlighting or demonstrating regular verbs and a couple of examples also underscoring irregular verbs. So when you say, for example, Charlie studied engineering at university. Charlie studied engineering at university. Studied, regular, ending in ed. Tina has lived in London for 10 years. Tina has lived in London for 10 years. Lived, ending in ed, regular. The rooms are cleaned every day. The rooms are cleaned every day. Cleaned, ending in ed, also regular. So all of the previous examples are showing examples of regular verbs. Now, let's move to irregular verbs. I have made some coffee. I have made some coffee. Made does not end in ed, then it's irregular. Somebody broke this window last night. Somebody broke this window last night. Broke doesn't end in ed, so it's irregular verbs. So this couple of examples shows you forms or types or examples, exemplifications of irregular verbs which do not end in ed, neither in the past simple nor in the past participle. There is one more point which I forgot to mention about verb to be, which we have explained at the beginning of the video, and that's when verb to be is followed by the past participle of the verb. If verb to be in any of its 5 forms, am, is, are, was, and were, if any of these verb to be forms is followed by the past participle of the verb, this means that the sentence is in the passive. And we talked about the passive voice in yesterday's live stream. We had a live lesson on the channel yesterday in which I explained the passive voice in detail. You can refer to that video if you want to learn more about the passive voice and its comparison with the active voice, how to make the active and the passive voice sentences in English. The video is was just published on the channel yesterday. But in today's video, there is only one main point which I want to mention, which is that verb to be with any of its forms, if it's followed by the past participle of the verb, which is form number 3, as we said, this means that your sentence is in the passive voice. So when I say, for example, butter is made from milk. Butter is made from milk. So we have verb to be here, that's is, followed by the past participle, made, which means that this sentence is in the passive voice because the verb be is followed by the past participle of the main verb. Another example, these houses were built a long time ago. These houses were built a long time ago. As you can see, verb to be, were, is followed by the past participle, built, which means that our sentence here as well is in the passive voice. So, using verb to be alone, am, is, are, was, were, using any of these forms alone means that the sentence is either in the present simple, if we're using am or is or are alone, or in the past simple, if we're using was or were alone. Am or is or are followed by the ing verb, then our sentence is in the present continuous or the present progressive. Was or were followed by the ing form of the verb, then our sentence is in the past simple or in the past progressive. And lastly, if our sentence has verb to be in any of its forms followed by the past participle of the verb, which is form number 3 of the verb, this means that our sentence is in the passive voice. And here we come to the end of today's live lesson and today's live stream. I hope it was useful, instrumental, beneficial for you. And as usual, I call on you to subscribe to the channel. The channel is very small. I want to grow it. I want to make sure that all the content and the knowledge I try to spread in my videos, I want to ensure that this knowledge and this science reaches as many people as possible. So please subscribe to the channel to grow the community of the channel. Like and interact with the videos if they are appealing to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment box down below. And I am more than willing, I am so pleased and glad to respond to these questions as soon as possible. I love to respond to your comments, suggestions, or notes. And stay tuned for our upcoming videos, being recorded videos or live lessons like this one. And at the end of today's video, I'd like to thank you very much for your attentive listening and for your participation in today's live stream. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in our next live lesson and in our next recorded video lessons. Enjoy the rest of your day, my friends, and goodbye for now.